Hello, how we doing, everybody? I'm giving this one a shot here. This is something that just came across my YouTube feed, and I thought maybe some of you guys would be interested in it because it's a U.S. island that speaks Elizabethan English. Is it Elizabethan? Is that how you pronounce it correctly? I don't know. But anyway, the Queen's English from back in the day, I guess is where we're going with this. But a U.S. island. So I figured that would be very interesting. As soon as I saw the title, I clicked it, and then I went, whoa, 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 whoa. Maybe I should do a reaction to this, because it might be kind of fun to get you guys involved if you weren't aware that this video popped up. But, yeah, so let's give this one a shot here and see what this is all about, because I find stuff like this fascinating. And hopefully you do too. So remember to like, subscribe, do whatever you guys want. And this video comes from BBC Global, so I'll leave a link for their channel in the description below this video as well. But this looks incredibly, just the title alone looks incredibly interesting. Let's give this one a shot. Here we go.
Boy toiled on the sinusoid. Last night the water fire, night moonshine. No fish. Ways both matter up woods.
It's the only dialect in the United States. When you play it for people from outside of the United States, England, do not identify it as an American dialect. The Ocracoke dialect and several of the island dialects of the
Wow, North Carolina. I would have never guessed that. When I saw the title, I was thinking it's going to be an island like in the Northeast, like kind of close to Canada. You know what I mean? I was not expecting it somewhere in the South. That was shocking.
Atlantic seaboard really began in the late 17th century. There was a settlement on the island in the first decade of the 18th century. So in about 1709 or 10, the people presumably came from the southwest of England there to Virginia and settled on islands. And people from those islands traveled by boat to these islands in North Carolina and settled them. Once they settled them, of course, they had no way to access the mainland other than by boat, which is still the case. And so it was isolated for centuries.
It's home, and it's special to me because it's home.
We found this place, and it was beautiful.
Ocracoke's quite simply a magical place.
So they maintained a fairly isolated and independent existence.
I can, even with those three people that just spoke, like I think those were clips from the footage from the 90s. You could hear hints of English in there.
And in that context, the original dialect was perpetuated and strengthened.
And I mean the English accent, even though there's tons of English accents.
There are certainly retentions of English. You know, there are words that sort of we can find in the plays of Shakespeare, like a word like mamic.
Mama, oh, that means when somebody gets you playing and they get hold of you and they're mad at you about something in the game and they, try to shake you up a little bit. They want to box with you.
Momic's like to irritate somebody or tickle somebody,
There are also things that they've simply created. In the United States, we play a game hide and seek. Well, on Ocracoke, the term is called mehonky, because when they're hiding, what they do is they imitate the sound of a goose. Mehonky, mehonky.
Just hiding and find it and running through the bushes and hide somewhere else. And hollering, me-hawking, they know you're wherever you are. Where they got that name now, I don't know. It's really just another name for sort of like hide and seek, except you choose team.
When we first got there, all right, the term for
What's that? That guy sounded kind of. There was hints of what's that accent in the southwest of England? I think they call it a Western country accent, or is it a Devonshire accent? Or are they both the same thing? I don't know. I feel like I need to have that accent chart on this screen over here, or this screen, where it's just it's the British Isles, and then it has all the accents by region, and there's like 100 of them. I feel like I need that.
outsider was dingbatter.
They're the ones you see riding around the road in the middle of the road on a beat.
When we first got there, all right, the term for outsider was dingbatter.
They're the ones you see riding around the road in the middle of the road on a bicycle. And the two of them, you'll see this couple, and a whole string of cars behind them. They're right in the middle of the road, right down the middle of the road. They're dingbat.
Where did they get dingbatter? As it turns out, up until the early 1970s, the term for outsider was foreigner or stranger, okay? Now, in 1972, they got television for the first time. There was a famous American sitcom called All in the Family with Archie Bunker, which was on at the time. One of the characteristics of Archie Bunker, who was sort of a parody of a racist, a chauvinist, and so forth, was he called his wife a dingbat because she didn't seem to have much common sense. Okay, they saw that and said, "Oh, that's just like the outsiders here."
A real true blood dingbat, or somebody would see the car track, two car tracks going across the beach, and would go across there in a car and think that he could go where a four-wheel drive. So that is a real dyed-in-the-wool dingbat.
So in that sense,
That's a word that me and my buddies use to describe a crazy person, a dingbat. So I guess I'm learning the original meaning of it, I guess, at least from these folks.
you know, it keeps changing, but it changes in ways that are sort of similar to its circumstances, you know, what it has and what it doesn't have and so forth. But they also have some pronunciation. The one that everybody talks about, which is why it's referred to as a hoi toi.
Hoi toi on the sinusoid. Last night the water fire, night moonshine. No fish. What's both matter, Uncle Woods?
Because that vowel of tide is back, so it sounds more like toy. All right, so that is what they're known for.
Now tell me what you said.
High tide on the sound side.
Sound side, yeah.
Last night the water fired.
Water fired?
Yeah, that's phosphorus in the water. You ever go to the ocean, you see the old people used to call it water fire, when the water fired.
Last night water fired, okay.
Yeah, and the night the moonshine.
And the
night the moonshine, so they had, one night they had a water fire against them, the next night they had a moonshine to get them. Usually couldn't catch too much on bright nights, when the nights are bright, you don't catch much fish, so.
I see.
Amazing. Oh. Dorian, yeah, I remember that one.
I guess a good feeling, to know that I was born and raised right here, and one of the original ones before people started moving in as tourists and stuff, you might send an original Oakocker.
The only real status is whether you're a native, that is, they call them Oakockers, in which case you can follow your lineage back into the 1700s. Sort of if you've just been there, 2-3 generations, you're not a real Oakocker. Right now, there are about 350 islanders out of a population of around 900. Also, there's more marriages between outsiders and Oakockers. And so that has an effect. And more recently, and this is really interesting, now 40% of the kids in the school are Hispanic. And that's related to the fact that the tourist industry is dependent on outside help.
And I think it's worse for the girls than it is for the boys, because the girls are kind of sort of like they can't fish, they can't crab, and take up a tray like that. So they eventually end up in one of the restaurants or a motel, or they're on more of a day-to-day basis with the tourists and stuff. So I think they're losing it more than a lot of the boys are.
I got a little kid, so he's 4 weeks old. Time he gets grown, his accent will be what they call Dingbatish. I would like for him to kind of keep the same accent and heritage like we've had for years and years, but there's no way now. All this is gone.
What do you think?
The only way it could be preserved if you fellas put it on tape.
Yeah, there's a lot of new people, coming in and everything, and it's changed a lot in the last few years. In the last 20 years, most of it's been lost.
By our count, people within one or two more generations, the dialect will be gone for good.
Wow. That was a very interesting video. I don't know what you guys are going to make of it. I know it's usually we have a lot of laughs on the channel, and we like to have fun, but something like this I just couldn't resist. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and it was very interesting. It's amazing when you find these little pockets of a culture that's obviously more than likely on its way out. Things are changing so much that it's one of those subcultures that's not going to be around much longer. Because there's just such a small population. But yeah, to have that have that style of the English language on a island in North Carolina of all places. Like I said before, when I saw the title, I was like, this has got to be up near Maine or Massachusetts or something like that. Somewhere up in the shorelines over there. But I was totally wrong. North Carolina, wow. Very interesting. They should have something like this on Quite Interesting, But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that, because I know it's a different thing, but I found it really interesting. Hope you guys did as well. Anyway, much love. I will see you guys again soon, and have a great day and stay safe, Boomerites. Peace out.